Okay, so let's have an array of different statues. So let's say with different shaders. So let's say we are going to add no, I'm going to add that background where it was. There's a background somewhere. So let's assume that I'm going to add different statues with different materials. One of them gold, one of them glass, all here on this table. Okay, let's make 3 statues. I'm going to bring that image. I like to have every individual element of the project in one single unified space. So that's why I just copy that image into my project folder. What was that? It was Maya, projects, lighting tutorial, source images, paste it here, and I call that background. And then I go to view. So let's go to the camera. Let's go to the view image plane, import image, and bring the background. So let's turn on that one so it helps me. So you know that when you do visual effects or when you do any sort of combining reality and animation, the camera of the animation should follow the same features of the camera of the reality. So I select my camera. This frame has been shot on a let me press 4 on a 24mm lens. And so that's why I changed my camera. So I have a 24mm. So I just want to make sure that I would be able to have a proper. I hold D and C and just snap it here. Maybe D and C and snap it on that corner. No. D and C here. No, here. Yes. Okay. Bring it there. Make it larger. But I can see that we have to do some adjustment. So the perspective would be right. Yes. That's better. Yeah, it kind of works. It doesn't need to be super accurate because it's just a shadow catcher. Okay, we have this Buddha in the waxy one, and then I duplicate that. The second one, so I make a couple of them, and so I like them to have some overlapping, so you get the point of this layering system. So I assign different materials. So if you remember, we made some materials. I just do some quick materials here. One of them can be just plain white, like the very last one, maybe. The very last one, I just plain white, and I just leave the very default material, and reflection 0. And then I clean here. One of them golden. So you remember that gold was 1.5. no, it was 0.4, the IOR of the gold. So basically you just like set the yellowish and the reflection IOR to metalness, and the reflectivity color to, again, like a bright yellow, IOR to 0.4. Where's the IOR? Fresnel. The metalness, like very metal, and the roughness, just like, and move the roughness. Oh, it's too much now. Yeah, something like that, and assign it to the like second one, and we can make the third one as a glass, if you remember. So again, Redshift material, the third one is like you can use some presets, like here you have gold, copper. You can use those presets, maybe tinted glass or just glass. You see, those, like when it turns into glass, you see that the IOR is 1.5 and refraction is high, and yeah, so this is for the third one. Okay, so let's have a look at what we have here. I just render them. A bunch of different shaders, different materials. So, there's a light over there that blocks the camera. So it's just, I select all the lights basically, well, every one of them, and make them turn off the visibility of all of that. Anyway, so yeah, we can. So the point is, the shadow on these statues would look like the shadow which is on this glass, on this light. Sorry, iMac. So the shadow on this iMac is like casting from top towards us. So I think I just take this. So the right way of lighting this scene was to have an HDR ready. Basically, this scene has an HDR, I believe, if I'm right. So there's some HDR used. Is that the one? HDR2. What's that? Let's try to see in Photoshop. Basically, you see that this scene has been shot with different exposures. So, and then has been turned into an HDR file. But what happened to Photoshop? Anyway, let's try that one. Let's try to light the scene with that one. So I turn on the lights, except the fill lights. So I turn this, select these two, Control H, hide them. The fill lights, I just go and select the HDR. I think the HDR, I just want to move it into my project folder in Documents, Maya. You see that I like to organize my project structure all the time, to name the stuff, to position the stuff in the right place. So this is called HDR. The name is there, so just like click, go to the source image, HDR. That's the right lighting, and let's render it with that lighting. We might need to adjust the exposure and other stuff, but we'll see. Especially the tint is like lower down. Yeah, so I have to just make the tint again proper white, because the color of the render comes from the HDR, so it doesn't need to come from maybe more, even more. So I increase the exposure here now. Maybe I go 2, because you see that this scene is very bright. I render it as. So then I add a shadow catcher on the floor. Come on, get rendered. Yeah, that's a nice lighting. And then now it's time to add a shadow catcher on the floor. We made a shadow catcher early on, so yeah, that's it. I just assign it to the floor and render one single frame, and then I go to the nuke, comp it to the background, and then start to render in different layers, different passes. So the beauty of working with Redshift is that when it starts rendering, you can do your other stuff. It doesn't lock your computer. So you see the shadow is there as well. So yes, so let's open Nuke. The rendering size is here, as you see in the render setting. I just, for the sake of speed, I'm rendering HD 540. It's just 15 seconds. It's let's go 1080. Let's see how much would it take in 1080. So in 1080, yeah, it's much sharper now. Okay, it takes 23 seconds, still good. So I just save this as an OpenEXR file. So go and find OpenEXR in the images, and I call that test lighting 1. And I just import the background. So I go to that lighting tutorial and to the images. I bring in the test lighting EXR here. Where is my background? So it's in source images. Source images, background, yes, okay. And then, so both of them are 1080p. It means, so you know that when you start Nuke, before bringing anything in, before pressing R or just drag and drop your files, you press S and you set up your project. So it's, let's say it's 24 frames or 25 frames per second. In the full size format, we go 1080, and then then we're good to go. So I select the top layer, press M, which means that this top layer is supposed to merge with the background. Add them together, they look fine. So so that's the early. So you see that they have the lighting of the environment. This glass is too glassy. I don't need it to be like. I need some like. We need something inside. You know, it just like feels too empty. Anyway, so now let's put every individual one of them in different layers. let's say I want to make the gold a bit darker. It's not possible now because if all of them are in one layer. So that's how I do it. How I put them in different layers, you just click here. What is that? This is render setup or the new Maya layering system, which is a bit tricky to work with, but we should be fine. So you start adding layers and you bring in different materials to each layer. If I bring this glass in one individual layer, but the glass has the impact of the white one on it, so they cannot be excluded from each other, but they cannot be in one layer as well. So that's the tricky part. That's make it complex. I want this purple one to cast light on the gold, but at the same time won't be on the same layer. So that's the tricky part of it. So what I do, I add all of them. So I make a layer. So I start from the shadow layer. So let's put everything in one layer and make the shadow pass. So shadow layer. So you create the layer and then you create collections. So the first collection is the floor, and you select the floor in the, so I call that floor. Let me save the project. So you middle click, drag and drop the floor into, what happened? You're dying. Come on. Yeah, there it is. I hate you, Maya. I hate you. Okay. So they just got separated. I was playing around. I don't know how to bring it back. Anyway. Maybe that one should get into that one. I don't know. Anyway, so just middle click, drag and drop the floor into here. So the floor is added. Then I add another collection. I call that statues. All the statues, all the Buddha, little beautiful Buddhas will be added to here. And then another collection, I call that lights. So we need to bring the lights as well, because otherwise how they are supposed to be seen. So we just have this fill light. It's an HDR light setup. Just bring it here. So when I switch back from here to here, you don't see the background anymore. The background, the lighting is different. So the camera is not there. The camera, we didn't add the camera. So the statues are supposed to cast shadow here, but not be seen. So what you have to do, you just have to select one of them, and then what you do is you go to the render stat. Render stat, you see that this statue is casting shadow, receiving shadows, it has motion blur, it's visible, and blah blah blah. But you just middle click the visibility and drag and drop it into attribute. So you will see that this statue, the visibility, the absolute override visibility has been added to all the statues. So you can turn it on and off. So by turning it off, all the statue won't be visible. But so you see, just look at here, render stat. They are not. So it has turned orange. They are not visible, but they cast shadow, but they receive shadow. So they do everything they used to be doing, but in terms of lighting and everything, but then they're just not visible. So if I render that, just render. Okay, then you can't see anything, but basically the shadow is there. So if I turn it on, save image, I call that. So when we do the, so let me just like, I'm not gonna render, save every individual one of them. I make all the layers, and then I just press the batch render, and we just render 1 or 2 frames, and you see that all of them will get rendered together. So let's move on to the next layer. The next layer is the candle one. Add a layer, wax or candle or whatever. We have to create collections again. So I just create. So the point is, the previous one doesn't have any interaction with that. They don't cast light on it. They don't do anything on it. So I just like add the statue, like wax statue here, and then I just add that into. Let me just see. How can I bring it back? Ah, there it is. Okay, so yes, I just middle click that one and bring it here. So the wax Buddha has been added. I don't need floor because floor is getting rendered in different layer. I need lights, so I just add another collection. I call that lights. Just bring the light into that. Let's render that one. And so I click. So the visibility, you see that's I just bring it here. And I render that. Oh, I need to select a view. I render that. That's just a waxy one. You see, it has a very nice alpha channel as well. Okay, so but let's so this layer is the wax one. So another layer now, a new layer, and the gold one. The tricky part about the gold one. So let's move on to the original scene. So I start creating collections. Statue. Let's call it gold statue. I just select the gold statue, middle click and bring it here. But we don't need the floor. But what about the other 2 statues before, behind, and in front of the golden one? We need them. So we need this one. So I just I create a collection and I say impacting gold. So those 2 are impacting the gold one. So this one and that one. So I middle click, bring them into a new collection. But at the same time, I can say that the visibility of them would be added and it would be turned off. Because I want them to be interacting in terms of lighting and casting shadows and reflectivity with the golden one, but not get rendered. So I just go and render that one. Wait until it gets rendered. The problem is you see the eye is on here. So I just have to move into here. So I would be able to just see these ones. Back to, it's too large. Okay, camera. Okay, so you see that the golden one is there. It has the alpha channel, proper alpha channel, but you see that the reflection of the waxy one is on the gold one. Even if it is isolated from the others in terms of layering, but the impact of them is still there. It's very useful. So let's move on. I go to the glass one. The glass one. So just go back to the scene. So I quickly do the setup for the glass one. So I call that new layer glass. Oh, by the way, we should have added the lights into the gold. Did we? Oh, too much S. No, the light is not added there. So add a new collection. Lights. Oh, be light added. Here a collection. First, let's add light. Be light added. Just make another layer for that latest one, the white. Just add the collection. Just want to add the lights. Just don't forget. Oh, light needs to be added here. Light needs to be added here. This is light needs to be added here as well. Okay, all lights are there. For the glass one, we need so the glass one itself, we need that collection. Glass statue, and the glass statue is that one. Middle click here. Here we want the white statue. White statue, and the white statue is that one. Middle click, drop it there. Let's go back to the glass one. The glass one, we need the one before and after that to impact on it. So we just like impacting glass. So those two are supposed to be there, but their visibility are not supposed to be seen. So we add the visibility, turn it off. The white one is okay. So let's see the white one. The white one, it doesn't need any influence from the surrounding. Let's see every one of them individually. Yeah, the white one is okay. So let's click on the. Okay, thank you. Oops, sorry. Where were we? Okay, where's Maya? Okay. Let's have a look at the glass one. You see that the glass one, there are three, but one of them gets rendered. Let's render that. So you see that the glass is getting rendered and it is influenced by the front and behind. But yeah, you see that it has the influences of the surrounding and the white one, but it's just isolated out. Okay, now it's time to render everything. So you go to the render setting. So just add a name. Call that. I just call it. Let's say Buddha statue. It's gonna be OpenEXR, and we will do multi-part EXR later, but I just rendered it as animation. I just rendered 2 frames, or maybe 1 frame, 1 to 1, just one single frame. And the resolution, everything, I just keep it as it is. And then I go to the rendering, render and batch render. Let's wait. So all the passes starts to getting rendered. First, okay, I can show you which passes is rendering. So you see that in the render layer. So whatever has that, all the layers that has that rendering on gets rendered. The first one, you see that all of them in one scene got rendered, and now it's the shadow layer got rendered, and then the wax. You see that the eye is just jumping to the other one. All of them are getting rendered, and the last one. Okay, now we have them all. So let's bring them in. So I just want to delete that. I press R, and then I know inside the images I have that. So you see that I have the master layer, which is all of them all together. I have the white one from the back, the white one. So the white one is there. Okay, by Y. Okay, so my bad, because here in the render setting, the camera is perspective. So I just change the camera to camera 1 and I render it again. So render, batch render. So you see that how it works. Rendering everything all together first. I could have turned this off because I don't need it anymore, but I just keep it for the sake of just in case. All of them together. The beauty of using a GPU-based render is that once it starts rendering, it doesn't occupy other software, so you can do properly. Keep using Maya or your comp software. Whatever is GPU demanding, they will be used. They will, but everything else is fine. Okay. So let's go back. We can update that one basically. Yes, there it is. So let's import the other ones. So this is the white one and then the glass one. The glass one comes on top of the white one. Press M. The gold one comes on top of on both of them. Press M. The wax one comes in front of all. Press M and merge it to them. But there's no shadow, so you can bring the shadow underneath. So shadow layer here, shadow is added. But these all, I add them on top of the shadow. The shadow comes underneath. So they are all assembled again, but you have the control over them. So if, let's say, I want to play around with the glass, I select this glass layer. So the beauty of merging Nuke and Maya rendering is that you can build up your network, your compositing network, and then you render, and then you update into your render settings, and everything gets updated if there would be an error or something. So let's say I add a G or just color grading, and you start like play around with not that lift, of course. Yeah, I just want to make that glass look a bit I can make it darker as well, so I add another G or no, just leave it as it is. But it's too white. Oh yeah, I just pushed too much. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that much. The gold one is not that yellow, so I can select the gold one now. Press G, add another grading node. I just add more yellowish here, and I can make it even brighter. Yes. So you see that you can render in layers and you can adjust it, but these are rendering layers, not rendering passes. Rendering passes are different. Okay, I save this.